For SDCC, Mattel brought out two versions of Orko, who had forever been the much maligned, much unfairly maligned comic relief of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, but had got quite a big fan base. I'll explain a little bit more later how I feel about Orko, but I, in summary, always liked him. They decided to bring out two versions, so there was one sort of magic change version and another version which was just straight up Orko from the Filmation series, packaged with Prince Adam. Yes, in this version of Orko, Prince Adam is your accessory. Now, very successful at SDCC, sold a lot. So Mattel thought, well, we can actually sell this on the site as well. So not long after that, I think the 2nd of August 2010, they actually put him on the website anyway, and again, big, massive success. I myself had to wait till Private Spoon decided to sell him to me, but I finally have Orko, and here he is, and I'm very, very happy. I love Orko. There you go, that's in summary. Again, I love Orko. When the cartoon aired, it was obviously seen that a certain amount of kid appeal needed to be in the He-Man and Masters of the Universe mythos, and let's face it, there's not an awful lot of kid appeal in there. It was, when it was envisioned, firstly, it was quite a straight up sword and sorcery, so pretty, I wouldn't say dark, but pretty humourless when it was first sort of conceived. And certainly the mini-comics, the early mini-comics that Mattel decided to sell with the early figures, and well, all of the figures, but especially the early ones in 1982, weren't full of the joys of spring, let's put it that way. There wasn't much kid appeal in there. So it was decided by Filmation that, well, we needed kid appeal. We needed something that the kids could relate to. And for that they used a jester, a court jester, and conceived of Orko, originally Gorpo. But there was a major problem with Gorpo. Filmation, for reasons best known to themselves, wanted his letter, the letter G on his chest, kind of Superman-like, really, if you think about it. The problem is, G would be immensely hard to animate, and moreover, they couldn't use, or reuse rather, shots with him on and flip them over, because the G would become apparent. You know, the G would become very, very apparent that it was just a flipped over shot. So, how to get around this? Well, if it's a no, it doesn't really matter, because those are symmetrical letter. It doesn't matter really if it's flipped over. So he came with a great big O on his chest. So that's why he became Orko, which I think is I think Orko's better than Gorpo anyway. Gorpo sounds wrong to me, but Orko sounds great. Now, Orko's whole story is that he's a little Trollan from the planet Troller, which is in another dimension. And he came to Eternia by means best known to ourselves. It was explained, but it was just a case of a spell went wrong, or he went through a dimensional portal. Fell to Eternia, turned out straight away his magic doesn't work, because on Troller he's known as Orko the Great. And he's probably one of the best magicians on Troller. Eternia not so much. He is a bit rubbish. Mainly because his magic amulet was lost. His magic amulet gave him his powers. That was lost in the swamps of Eternia. And because he doesn't have that, he's a bit rubbish. But always comes through in the end. Always comes through in the end, does little Orko. I love the character. I love the fact that he exists. And I love the fact that as a kid appeal character, he was never too childish. He did have his moments. When he was mischievous Orko, I never liked mischievous Orko. I quite like just straight up Orko. I like to He-Man. Bit of a badass sometimes. Nice and sweet and kind to everybody and everything. Never cruel or cowardly. But he did have sort of elements of the child to him sometimes, and I never liked that in any sort of kid appeal character or RAC, really annoying characters. I tend not to like that, especially in characters like No from Ulysses 31 or Snarf. But then I hate Snarf. I can't bear Snarf. He winds me up. The worst one's T-Bob. I hate T-Bob so much. But they're all sort of variations on the theme, and the theme was Orko. Orko came first, ladies and gentlemen. I suppose, I'm trying to think in Transformers who the closest would be, and it would probably be Bumblebee. I never found Bumblebee that annoying because he's just a young Transformer. I suppose a better analogy of a really annoying character would be Wheelie, who's just an annoying little goit. But Orko never really got that annoying, and yet he is much maligned within certain communities, even the He-Man community. Some people really, really hate the guy, and what has he ever done to you? He's not an annoying character. He just asks the questions that kids would ask, or that has the same worries that kids would have. I do find it funny that he's the greatest sorcerer on Troller and yet has to clean his room. And they naturally paired him up with Man at Arms, things like that. Man at Arms in the original cartoon is de facto dad, even more so than Randor, because Randor's, he's the king. You know, we'll come back to this when we talk about Prince Adam in a bit. Chris Adams, Prince Adam in a second. You know, the fact that Man at Arms becomes the de facto dad to him, and even He-Man. But certainly Orko and Man at Arms had a tempestuous relationship. It was a hate-love relationship. Man at Arms hated Orko, and Orko loved Man at Arms. Although that's a bit unfair. Man at Arms did love Orko, really. He just got exasperated by him, and he got sick of having eggs thrown in his direction whenever Orko's spells went wrong. Or when Orko decided to go tinkering in his workshop and basically just fuck things up for him. But yeah, I like Orko. I especially like Orko when he gets brave and takes on Skeletor himself, or things like that, you know. Or Uncle Montauk, when Uncle Montauk got put under the thrall of an evil being, and went all evil and nasty and bad. I like Orko. He's a bit weird though, because he levitates, and I thought this meant that he had no legs, but apparently he does. He just levitates. And the original plan of the show was to have him walking occasionally, but that never happened. I'm guessing because that would have taken too much to animate. And Filmation, famously known for being cheap, I suppose, really, or let's put it this way, being frugal with their budget. But apparently under there he's cross-legged, and he does levitate properly all the time, but he doesn't have to. Another thing, you never saw what was underneath the hat. There has been various DeviantArt entries as to what Orko could possibly look like. I don't believe we've ever actually seen in a Bible or any original storyboard art what Orko actually looks like under there. It was kept deliberately vague. We know he's pretty much bald because he takes his hat off in The Legend of Dragoon. So we kind of do know that he's bald under there. Dawn of Dragoon, sorry, should I say, not Legend of Dragoon. So we do know he's bald under there, but we don't know exactly what he looks like. And do you know what? I'm okay with that. I have no problem with that whatsoever. I don't think Trollons should take off their hats. It's rude for a kick-off. It's rude. But yeah, pretty cool. I really do like that. Let's have a look at the figure. He's actually more intricate than you think. He comes with this lovely clear stand, so he actually levitates, which I think is great. So you put him on there. There's a little, well, I say a little, there's a massive hole under there. Pop him on, and it looks like he's levitating. Really cool. Really cool on a shelf and anything like that. Surprisingly, he is very well articulated. Apparently 10 points of articulation. So you've got his head there, 1, 2, 3 for his shoulders, 4, 5 for that, 6, 7, and 8, 9, and 10. So yeah, he's pretty articulated, is this little guy. I really do like him. Because of that, like I say, his head goes around 360, fits on a ball joint like most Masters figures. And like most Masters figures, it can be popped off. Like so. When you do pop it off, you get his scarf. Little scarf there. And you get his head. Which is really cool, because what you can do, you can take Prince Adam here, and pop off his head, like so, and put the scarf on. Oops. And you can pop Orko's head on top. Bear in mind, if you have children and they're watching this, they may not want to watch this for much longer. You can pop Prince Adam's head on here. Kind of. I don't think it fits actually, Prince Adam's head on there, but you get the idea. Prince Adam can go around looking like that, which is terrifying. And more importantly, Orko can go around looking like that. That is proper terrifying. That is not good at all. I don't like that one little bit. Just a close look at that here. Drink it in. Drink in the horror. Which is really cool. That's not good. Not good at all. So yeah, scarf comes off there, and there you go. You just pop him back on. Pop his old head back on there. Hang on. Get this on right. There we go. And there you get Orko's head back on. Cool. Like I say, his arms go up and down. They are round and round as well on a ball joint. They've got ball joints at the elbow, and they also go in and out as well. And his little wrists move round and round. So he's a really, really well articulated little figure. And he's lovely in detail as well. This is basically just the Filmation Orko, which is what you want. I think so. He looks great from side to side and from front to back. He's got little pleats and folds in his little tunic there as well, so it looks like he's floating. It looks like he's floating. I'm going to put him back on his stand now. The reason being is that you can actually hold him up very well like that, and you can actually see the figure in 360. It's a really lovely rendered little figure. This is, well worth the money that you pay for him. He also comes with this little wand, which I think is pointless, or I thought was pointless. When I noticed two things, it's the head of it is pretty much shaped like his, I don't know if you can see that, it's pretty much shaped like his amulet, and it also comes with little teeth on this edge. That, my fine friend, is a reference to the old toy, where, if you can imagine, it had a wheel, or wheels on the bottom there, and a hole in its side where you would stick in a let go and rip device. So you'd stick that in there like so, you'd let it go, and Orko would go careering all over the floor. Brilliant, love that. And it's a really little oblique reference to the old Masters of the Universe figure, which had to be made after the cartoon was made, because originally it wasn't included in the line. But the character got so popular, they had to make an Orko figure sort of haphazardly. Also came with a neat little coin trick that I wish I could get my hands on, because I loved that thing. Never could work it, but I loved that little thing. The original Orko figure was amazing. So we'll put Orko to one side for a little while, because I want to talk a little bit about Prince Adam, who we have here. Now, Prince Adam in this set was actually the bonus figure, or the accessory. That's the word I'm looking for, accessory. Which kind of sort of explains Prince Adam's life, really. He is an accessory, and yet I find him one of the most interesting characters in Masters of the Universe. Here we have a guy, he's about 16 to 19 years old, depending on which fiction you choose to believe. He's a young guy, and all of a sudden he's given this magic power to turn into this mythical, amazing figure of He-Man. Oh, never in a million years did you think he'd ever sort of grow into. So he becomes He-Man, and he's the protector of Eternia, but he also has to lie to those closest to him and make out that he's this. I always have a problem with people calling him weedy or weakling or coward. I wouldn't say he's any of those things, and I wouldn't say the fiction makes him out to be any of those things. Certainly the Filmation cartoon doesn't. Whenever he has to fight, he fights well. I would say he is lethargic and callow and directionless and wan. He just rudderless is a very good description of him. He doesn't want to do anything. He wants to stay in bed all day, and he wants to have the nice life of a prince, basically not do anything, just to distance himself enough. It's like the Clark Kent, oh, I've got somewhere to be, I've just remembered, oh yeah, this isn't... I mean, Clark Kent in the early comics is a bit of a wimp, but Prince Adam never was a wimp. He never ran away from trouble, he just remembered he had some place to be, or something to do, or a class, or this, that. Just to distance himself enough from being He-Man. The difficulty in the Filmation series is that they're animated pretty much exactly the same. Certainly in 2000X it's a bit better. But yeah, I always have a problem with Prince Adam being described as a wimp, because he's not. He's never depicted as such, like I say, in Filmation. But he has a really interesting character, because essentially he is He-Man. It's not like they're different people. It's kind of like Captain Marvel, Billy Batson. Captain Marvel is Billy Batson. It's just a transmogrification, a transmutation, rather than, you know, he disappears. Which isn't how Battle Cat's played at all. Generally, Cringer doesn't remember what's happened to him as Battle Cat, and vice versa. They don't get on. It's really weird. Whereas He-Man and Adam are the same person and act like the same person. So Adam's wise beyond his years, because all the information and all the reasoning that He-Man has is Adam's. It's just the strength and the body that changes. So I always felt sorry for Prince Adam as a character, because he had to lie to his parents. He had to put up, especially, I mean, this is heartbreaking, he had to put up with his father's basically disappointment. There you go, disappointment. His father's disappointed in him 9 times out of 10 and loves He-Man, thinks He-Man's great. So he has to put up with that. His mother's a different prospect, because his mother loves him no matter what. And he suggested on more than one occasion, I think in the Rainbow Warrior it's quite a big pointer, that she actually knows that Adam is He-Man and vice versa. And she chooses not to say anything, because obviously that would break the spell. It would, you know, defeat the object of Adam being He-Man. Because the whole reason that He-Man has Adam in the first place as a secret identity is to protect those closest to him from being used by evil people to get to him. That's the whole thing about He-Man. He-Man is invulnerable 9 times out of 10. He'll be okay. He-Man can sort himself out. It's people around him that are in danger. And that's why Adam exists, because Skeletor, not for 1 second, would ever think that Adam is He-Man, because Adam's weak, Adam's lethargic, Adam's a bit of a rube. He's not He-Man. So yeah, I always feel a bit sorry for Adam. Obviously, it changes a bit later on. His father sort of accepts him a bit more, I think. And certainly his mother, her opinion that he never changes. She loves Adam. And his dad loves him as well, but he would prefer him to be a better prince. And then you have Man at Arms, who's Adam's, you know, he always gets called Adam's mentor, Adam's best friend. And he's more than that. He's his father figure. He's Commissioner Gordon. If you think of Commissioner Gordon and Batman, he is the father figure that Batman never had. And it's pretty much the same. Adam seems not to have had really a father figure in Randor. He's the king. He's got to be a father figure to everybody. So sort of the next step down is Man at Arms, who is not only Teela's father figure, being her adoptive father, but also Adam's adoptive father. And especially He-Man's adopted father. He-Man doesn't know everything. That's the whole thing I like about He-Man. He doesn't know everything, doesn't pretend to. Sometimes Man at Arms instills wisdom on him. So that's another good reason to like a Man at Arms in my opinion. But like I say, in the Filmation series, Adam does get better and works more closely with Duncan. And especially in the sort of Christmas special and Secret of the Sword. You know, Adam goes out on his own. And another good example, when Adam and Bo are fighting against the Horde Troopers, there's no suggestion that Adam's a weak guy or a coward or anything like that. He fights with honour, and he fights really well. So yeah, that's Prince Adam, a very cool and misunderstood character, and I wish people would look a little bit deeper into Adam and just, you know, see that there's a great tragedy there. There isn't any sort of alter ego character, unless you're Batman. That's a bit different, because Batman isn't the alter ego. But yeah, But very, very interesting character, very interesting. And the other one I'll leave you with is Adam He-Man or is He-Man Adam? Anyway, Prince Adam. Again, he's got a lot of new parts, this character, actually. Essentially, he's got the same parts as He-Man. But then again, he's got this big, massive tunic on him that doesn't come off as far as I can tell. I can't see anywhere where it comes off. And you know what? I'm down with that. But this is, again, it's so much like the Filmation character. It's unbelievable. It is such a good rendition of Prince Adam. I never had Prince Adam when I was a kid, so I was really psyched and pumped to get hold of this guy. You know, just as much as I was Orko. It's nice to have Prince Adam. And I've got Cringer as well, so it's even better. Really, really love the head sculpt. The head sculpt is amazing because it looks like a younger version of He-Man. They played it off really well. They've sort of gone down the 2000X route. Yes, they are the same size. Yes, they look very similar. Adam has a much younger visage than He-Man has. So, really, really cool. He's got slightly longer hair, I think, as well. But the tunic's right. The tunic's absolutely perfect. So when he comes out, he looks like, I am Adam, Prince of Eternia, blah, 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 blah. The only thing I think is bad with this figure, and it is a minor little nitpick, doesn't have anywhere to put his magic sword on his back. Should have had sort of a scabbard or something that could go in there. The other good thing about this, the other weird thing, is that the power sword is actually sort of a purpley pink magenta colour. It's not silver like He-Man. Which is, yeah, I think it's an odd choice, but a good choice, because again, it sort of differentiates Adam from He-Man, so that people won't say, well, you've got the same sword there, Adam. He doesn't have the same sword, he has a different coloured sword. It's much more of a ruby magenta colour. But he's got the same articulation as Masters figures usually has. Obviously the head goes around 360. He's got his arm articulation which goes up and down and side to side. He's got the bicep swivel. He's got the elbows. He's got the wrist swivel. He has got an ab crunch. Can't really use it because his tunic gets in the way. But he does have a waist swivel, which is really cool. His legs obviously do everything that you want his legs to do. They're on a ball joint there and go out and in and all around. His knees go around there. He's got the boot cut. Mine's got a bit of a gammy ankle, but it doesn't make a difference to anything. It's just a bit of a gammy ankle is all. But he does everything that you want him to. Poses any way you want him to. Obviously holds his sword lovely and nicely. The paint applications are great. You can pose him in a nice contemplative pose there. Just having a look at the power sword and wondering, am I Adam or am I He-Man? What does Glenn think? I think they're both valid. I think they're two sides of the same character. But I think Adam is more He-Man than He-Man is Adam. If that makes sense. Probably doesn't, but there you go. So yeah, you've got Adam, you've got Orko. Two really great figures. The actual figure, the accessory. I mean, what an accessory to get a Prince Adam figure. But yeah, the actual figure, the accessory. And Orko can hold his wand. Don't often like him holding the wand though, because he never held a wand in the show. It doesn't make sense for him to. That's a much more sort of a 2000X thing. And this is film. You know, this is by far Filmation Orko. But two great figures there. If you can pick these up, please do. If you have any interest in Masters of the Universe whatsoever, you need an Orko. Everybody who likes the Filmation show needs an Orko. And if you have He-Man, you need Prince Adam. You also need them backing cards that I will buy at some point, which basically do the transformation backgrounds, which are great. But definitely buy them if you can. I shall be back next week, but I shall be looking at Doctor Who again. Because by that point, 3 episodes to catch up on. I'll have Robot of Sherwood, I'll have Listen, and I'll have Time Heist. So join me next week for that. Also, remember that Roll Out Roll Call is very, very soon. 4 weeks today, it'll be pretty much over, but it is 4 weeks today. I shall be there from back to the 80s. Sadly, nobody else from the crew will be. They're all busy or not very well, which are two very, very good reasons not to be there. But I shall be there, and I shall be doing something, I am sure. I have a few ideas knocking around in my head. And also I'll be there to say hello to. So if you watch any of my stuff, if you obviously listen to the show, please do, you know, come up to me, say hello. I'm always happy to talk to anybody. But yeah, take care of yourselves and each other. I'll see you on the flip side. Bye-bye for now.